So, hello and good evening. Here we go again. This is the bi-weekly live stream, or 2 times a month at least, the live stream of the study service of computer science at the University of Paderborn. And my name is Harald Selke, as you can read here. And what we're doing here is we're having these live streams to inform our current students about what's happening in our in university, what's relevant to their program, to their master program in particular tonight, and also to prospective students, so to people who consider applying for studying their master program here at our university, particularly in computer science, of course, because that's where I am from. So hello, good evening, and welcome, and keep your questions coming, whatever those questions might be, and I'll try to do my best and answer them, as long as I can say something relevant towards it. You might also just say hello in the live chat here and tell us where you're joining us from. That's also sometimes interesting to see where people are from, so just feel free to write anything in there. So what are we doing here? As I said, this is a live stream that we are offering always on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central European time. At least right now in the winter time, it's Central European time. In the summer, it's 1 hour. Because of daylight saving time, it's 1 hour to the other side somehow. But right now it's winter time here, so it's Central European time, 6 o'clock. And obviously you found us if you are already here, or if you're watching this after the fact, then well, you weren't here at all. So, but for the next time, you'll know it's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Central European time. We always do these live streams on each first Thursday in the month for our bachelor program. That is a program that is studied in German and taught in German. And that's why that program is also in German for our current students and for prospective students as well. So if you are interested in our bachelor program, then it might be a good idea to join us on the next first Thursday of the next month, which would, I think, be the 1st of December, if I'm correct there, something like that. And on each third Thursday of the month, like tonight, we're having a program dedicated to our master program, and that means that you are free. We give information on our master program, and this is obviously in English, because many of our students come from all over the world, from many different countries, and also our prospective students come from many different countries, and this is why we're doing this in English, of course. So, as I said, if you are out there and you are already studying here in our university, in our computer science program, then you might have some questions relating your current studies, or you might consider switching to computer science, already studying here, like computer engineering, for example, and you consider switching to computer science, if that is possible, or things like that. You can ask questions about that as well. Or if you're in a different university in Germany and consider switching to Paderborn University to come here and do your master program in computer science here at Paderborn University, you're welcome with your questions as well. And of course, you're particularly welcome if you are a prospective student from anywhere in the world and you have some questions about the application process, for example. And we'll go into that regardless of if there are any questions or not, because the deadline is coming up soon for applying for the next summer semester. You can always apply. There's no fixed slots when you can't apply or something like that. You can always apply year-round. The question is only for when you will be able to start. And if you plan to start your computer science master in Paderborn in next April, then this is the time to complete your application as soon as possible. You hopefully have already some of your documents together, and you might hand in some documents later on. But this is now the time, because on the 30th of November, that's the last day that's the day where basically your application must be in, and that means you must have applied and you must have sent at least certain documents. As I said, some documents can be handed in later, but we'll go into the details whenever there are some questions, and when there's no questions, I'll just report on the standard state of things, so what you should do until when, ideally. And always keep in mind, exceptions can be made under certain circumstances, but you need to contact someone, and that in the case of international applications, that is usually not me, but UniAssist. But we'll talk about the application process in a minute, or in a couple of minutes. First of all, I have something to drink with me here. It's a non-alcoholic beer, and I need this for my voice, and it's always nice to have something to drink, and hopefully you have something to drink as well, and you're sitting back on your at home in a cozy place, and I hope it is warm in there, and let's enjoy this evening. Cheers. So before we go into any of your questions or anything about applying for our master program or things like that, what I would like to do is address some aspects that are important for our current students. So if you are already here studying here with us at this university in computer science, and maybe this is your first semester here, and you're not yet absolutely familiar with all the things that are going on. There is something I would like to talk about, and that is the upcoming deadlines. So we need to talk, or I would like to talk about what is important so that your first semester will be successful here. And of course, to be successful, it means that you learn quite a lot of things, but at the end you will have to take an exam, as you probably know, or might have guessed at least. So you will have to do an exam in each and every of the courses that you took right now. And what you are hopefully aware of, and this is what I wish to remind you about this, is that there is certain prerequisites in order to take part in the exam. And the first prerequisite is that the course that you took might have something which is what is called a course achievement. There might also be a qualifying participation, but that's a very rare case. So I'll not talk about qualifying participations tonight, unless there is a question regarding that. But apart from that, I'll just talk about course achievements. So excuse me, I just have something in my throat. Just a second. So here we go again. So I'll just talk about the course achievements. Not all courses that are offered have course achievements. Some do, some don't. And if they do have a course achievement, then hopefully the lecturer of your course will have told you that right in the beginning, right in the first week of the lectures, at the beginning of October or mid of October. And he will have told you exactly what to do in order to get that course achievement, to achieve that course achievement. And it is important that you do the things, of course, that you need to do for those course achievements. As I said, not all courses have them, but those courses which have course achievements attached to them, you'll have to do the course achievement, but that's not all you have to do. You also have to register for the course achievement, and that's very important. So if you do the course achievement but haven't registered for it, then there is no way for the lecturer to certify that you have achieved the course achievement, and that's why you need to register for it. And if you haven't done that already, now is the time to do that, and you still have time until next Thursday, but there's no reason to wait for that. So if you are taking part in a course here right now with us, and that course has a course achievement attached to it, any of your courses that have course achievements attached to them, you should register for the course achievement. There's no reason not to do that. And you should do that right now or immediately after this live stream ends, or in parallel if you're good in doing parallel tasks. So it's a good idea to do that right now, and so that you can't forget it anymore. If you registered for it and you ultimately decide not to take an exam in that course, no problem at all. You can deregister later on, but you can't register after next Thursday. So it's very important that you keep in mind, or not just keep in mind, just do it. Do it right now. Register for the course achievements in any of your courses that you're participating in right now. But of course, check if there is a course achievement. You can see that in the PAUL system. And if there is something called a course achievement, then you hit the check mark there and say register, and then click again and say yes, submit. I really want to do that. So always 2 clicks are needed. Always 2 there are. Second thing, which is equally important, what the course achievement then allows you to do is to take part in an exam. So if a course has a course achievement, then the course achievement is a prerequisite for taking part in the exam. So if you don't have the course achievement achieved by the end of the semester, which, as I said, requires you to have registered for it in the first place. So if that hasn't been certified that you have achieved the course achievement, then you will not be able to take part in the exam. As I said, it's important that it is entered into the PAL system, and it can only be entered there if you have registered for it beforehand. So even if you do all the tutorials and do everything that's required in the course, but you haven't registered for the course achievement, and you'll just note that once the exam is coming up, then it's too late, and you can't take part in the exam even though you took the whole course. So very important, register for the course achievement, and of course do all the things you have to do in order to pass the course achievement. The second equally important thing is that you also register for the exam. And right now the registration phase for the first examination phase is on as well. It's the same deadline. It's also next Thursday, 24th of November, 2300 hours and 59 minutes. So late at night, that's the time by which you will have to have registered for the course achievement as well as the exam, if you want to take part in the first examination phase. And I would recommend registering for it because, again, you can deregister later on. There will be possibilities to deregister. In fact, you can deregister until 2 days before the exam takes place. So really plenty of time. So no reason not to register for the exam as well if you are taking part in a course right now. And even if you decide then to just take part in the second examination phase, that's also possible. Exams in the first examination phase will be usually in February. Your lecturer will tell you all the details, or it should also already have been told to you in the lectures, or maybe even published in the Panda system, at least as a preliminary dates. Things might change, like something might move a day forward or backward or something like that, or maybe 2 days. But the rough dates should already be announced or be available at least. So ask your lecturer when those examination dates will most probably be, so that you can plan beforehand. And then just check which exams you want to take part in. But as I said, you can deregister later on. So it's a good idea to plan right now. And as I said, all those exams will be, the first examination phase will be sometime in February. So the lectures end on, I need to check that, just a second. Lectures end on 3rd of February. So the first exams, usually, there might be exceptions, again, talk to your lecturer, but usually exams will then start from the 6th of February, and most of them will be during the 4 weeks after that. So 6th of February until 3rd of March, about that time. There will be, where there is a first examination phase, there will be a second one. And for the second one, there is no possibility and no need, neither a need nor a possibility to register right now. The registration phase for the second examination phase will only be sometime in February. We will announce that just early enough, so you will know about those dates. Check with the PAL system. Just go to pal.uni-paderborn.de, and there you'll find on the first page of the PAL system, you'll find all the important dates for registration for everything. And it's really important that you keep those dates in mind, that you don't miss them. The second way not to miss them is just follow my Twitter account. So if you are studying here, I would strongly recommend following my Twitter account, which is listed below this video here. There's a link to my website where there's lots of interesting information, and there's also a link to my Twitter account. And if you subscribe to my Twitter account, you will always receive notifications whenever there is an important deadline coming up. So there's no reason to miss any deadlines. It's very, very simple. Just read my Twitter feed or else, or if you don't want to do that, then check the information on our websites. All of that information is available, and there's really no reason to miss any of those deadlines. But you have to take care of it. We can't do that for you. You need to take care for that yourself. So right now you might hear some music in the background because there's an event going on in this building, and I hope I don't get a copyright strike for that. So let's see what happens. So if there's some noise, it's not me humming along to some music, but there is some music in the background. I hope it doesn't disturb us too much in our live stream here. So that's the important things. As I said, always remember when you're doing anything in the PAL system, register and then submit. So it's always 2 clicks that are needed in order to submit something that you really want to do. So that's the important thing I wanted to talk about for our current students who are already here, who are studying here right now, because this information is simply necessary, and you need to do that, and otherwise you just miss the opportunity to take part in the exams. Keep in mind, if you have already studied here for a while at our university, keep in mind that this semester some of the regulations are going back to kind of normal. If you've already studied here for a couple of semesters, then you know that during the past semesters with pandemic-specific regulations that allowed you, for example, to take part in an exam and fail the exam, and the exam would not be counted as failed, even though you failed. This is no longer true. So right now we are back, at least in this respect, as well as in most of our teaching respects, as you might have noticed already, we are back to normal, which means once you fail an exam, it is marked as failed, and that is it's taken note of, and that's stored in our systems. And you can only fail a subject 3 times. After that subject is kind of burnt. You can't take it anymore. So keep that in mind, that things are somewhat back to normal. There are still some extraordinary things happening, like, for example, that you can deregister until 2 days before the exam takes place. Usually it would be 1 week, but we still have some relaxations of the regulations there. So no problem there. But just keep in mind, 2 days before the exam takes place, that's the last chance for you to deregister from an exam. As I said, you can also deregister from the course achievement, and again, I will remind you via Twitter until when you can do that. You should also have received the information in the first lecture of all of your courses, basically, because I prepared slides for our lecturers, and they should have shown all of those slides in each and every course. And there it says until when you can deregister from the course achievement, and that is 2 weeks before lectures end. So lectures end, as I said, on 3rd of February, and so you go back 2 weeks from there, and that's the last date when you can deregister from the course achievement. And if you don't want to take a course, not just the exam in the first examination phase, but if you don't want to take a course at all, then you should deregister from the course achievement. If you consider taking the exam maybe at some point in the future, then you should not deregister from the course achievement, because the course achievement, once you have it, and you'll never lose it. So if you want to take the exam on a later date, you still have the course achievement stored from when you did it, and you don't lose that. So that's important, that if you want to take the exam in a course at some point in the future, you should keep the course achievement. Just keep that in mind. Though also keep in mind that those courses always block a spot in the number of modules that you can take. And as you know, you can take only up to 11 modules. There are some deregistration possibilities again, but up to 11 modules can be studied, and once you pass those 11 modules, it becomes kind of difficult to move subjects aside. There are limited possibilities, but in general, usually you should only have those modules open that you really plan to take right now or at some point in the future. Yeah, so that's that. Right. So the other major thing I would like to talk about tonight is, because the deadline is coming up, as I said, is what to do if you want to apply for the master program here at Paderborn University, for master program in computer science, of course. And obviously, there's some things that are good to know before you apply here, because all of those things aren't very simple. Of course, everything is complicated in the world, so are these things. So, what is important is what the application process basically does is you send lots of documents to us. Especially, you'll send to us your bachelor degree certificate. You send to us the transcripts of your bachelor program. If you have not just studied a bachelor program, or if you have studied multiple bachelor programs, it's a good idea to hand in everything that might be relevant. So everything that might count somehow towards computer science. If you have or already have studied in a master program that is somewhat related to computer science, again, add those documents and send them to us, and we'll check them as well. Because what we will be doing here, you send all those documents to UniAssist. Again, there's a link below this video where we have information for international students, and it's also written on this slide here. On that website, you find all the link. As I said, you don't have to type it from this video. The link is below this video. You just click on there, and there's all the information and all the further links that you need might be interested in following. And what is important there is that you send all of your documents to UniAssist. UniAssist is an external company, or whatever company, something, entity, an external entity, who do nothing but, basically, at least that's what I know about them. What they do for us, at least, is they organize the application, they coordinate the application process. And that means that all of your documents you need to register with UniAssist, and all of your documents need to go to UniAssist. And from there, you can decide at which universities you wish to apply. So you might not just want to apply to us, or not just to the computer science program here at Paderborn University, but you might also consider, for example, to apply for the computer engineering program, maybe. Or you might also decide to not just apply to Paderborn University, but also to Technical University of Berlin, or Technical University in Dortmund, or wherever. Many, many universities in Germany. Just two random examples here. So, and the good thing for you is you only need to send your documents. So one, you need to send different documents probably, because each university requires different documents maybe, but all of that will be documented on the websites of the universities or in the UniAssist, with the UniAssist portal, where you find all of that information. And you only need to deal with them. You don't have to deal with us, at least not in this at this stage of the process, because everything goes through UniAssist. And there, as I said, you can choose which programs and which universities you wish to apply to. All right. What UniAssist then does is they do some document processing. For example, they check if all your documents are complete. And they will tell you, for example, well, there's something you have applied at Paderborn University for the computer science program, but they require the following documents and you didn't send those documents. And then you'll have the chance to hand in those documents. Again, as I said, there might be possibilities to hand them in even after the 30th of November. Usually everything has to be there by 30th of November, but certain things can be handed in afterwards. But you need to check with UniAssist. They can tell you until when they need which documents. And if you are too late with some of your documents, not all is lost, because then you will just be considered for the next round, which would then not be for April next year when our summer semester starts, but then you would be eligible for the next round of evaluations, which would then be for October next year, which is when our winter semester starts. So you send all of your documents there. The UniAssist people then process those documents. As I said, they check if everything is there. They do some pre-processing for us, because it's always difficult for us to determine Exactly. If the university you studied at is recognized in Germany, what your grade that you have at your home university, what that grade would be, what the equivalent grade would be in German, in the German system, and they calculate those things for us, and they do lots of things there. And then they make available all of those documents that we require. They will make available those to us. So then our process starts. That's the time when we come into the process and we start and evaluate all of your applications. And we will start that very soon now. We already have received quite a number of applications. It's roughly 100 applications are already here. And there will be coming lots more. We know that for sure. That's always been the case over the last couple of years. And then we will check all of those applications. And as soon as we we will check lots of requirements, the prerequisites for the master program. And why do we do that? That's because once we say that you can come, so once we accept you into our master program, we really want you to succeed. And that is why there's quite a rigid process where there's certain requirements that every student must meet in order to come to our master program here. On the other hand, I would like to be very clear there as well. Once we can only accept you on the basis of documents that we see from you. So we don't know you. We don't really know how good you are in certain subjects, for example, how good you are at organizing yourself, how good you, and that's something which you probably don't know yourself right now, how good you cope with the situation of living in a foreign country. So there's no guarantee that if we accept you, that you will also really be successful and complete your master program. There's no guarantee for that. So we have students that fail, and it's less that the people really fail ultimately, so which means like having failed certain exams for too many times or something like that. That's very rarely the case. What happens more often is that people at some point they give up. So because they see that they can't succeed in the modules and the courses that we offer. And then it kind of fizzles out. And then they see that after 2 years, they have just completed maybe 2 courses or something, where they should have already completed at least, well, quite a number of courses. Ideally, they would have completed 8 courses by that time, plus 2 seminars, plus a project group, plus maybe something else. And they may have only completed 1 or 2 courses for whatever reason. And this is, of course, something where people then need to reconsider if they will really be able to complete the master at some time during the time they are given, because ultimately the visa will run out or something like that. And so that's the more likely chance that someone fails, because not, as I said, he failed too often in a certain exam, but rather because people just don't manage to succeed. And that's basically, it's your decision then at some point. Usually it's your decision then to see if you really want to keep on trying to get to the master's degree, or if you say, well, I'd rather not, and I'll be more happy in my life if I do something differently. Whatever that might be then. We will not leave you alone there. There will be counseling here at our university, and you should always come to us before you take any drastic measures, like, for example, dropping out of the master program or something like that. We have people here who can give you support, but you need to come to us. We don't know about you, so if someone just vanishes basically from all of our courses and from the university as a whole, then we can't reach those people anymore. We don't know where you are, and we won't come to you. You'll have to come to us and talk to us and seek for support, and you will be given that support. So, but basically, once we accept you to come to Paderborn University into our master program, we are positive that you will be able to succeed. as I said, there's many factors playing into that. It's not just that you are a good student or that you have a brilliant knowledge in certain areas or something like that. There's many contributing factors to being a successful student, being successful in your master program. And it's always a kind of a risky business, so to speak. It's a risk worth taking, I believe, but there is a certain risk attached to such an endeavor. So yeah, but basically this is what we're trying to do, and so at least we want to have the good. We need to believe that the people that we accept into our master program, that we really can be confident that they will pass, they will be able to complete their master program here. Otherwise, we wouldn't allow you into our master program. And that might be rigid, and that might sound rigid and sound hard for you, because being not accepted when you would really want to study somewhere it's always a hard fact to accept. If someone tells you, sorry, we won't accept you, but there's always alternatives. Keep that in mind. Just a drop of beer on that. There's always alternatives. So I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll first talk about what kind of like the prerequisites are, what we really expect you to do, or to bring along if you are studying here. And of course, we only accept students who have a certain background in computer science. And we'll go into a little more detail about those. I think at least I'll go into more detail about those specific requirements, but they are also listed on our website that I just listed on the last slide there. And on a generally speaking, as you know, when we're dealing with computer science, we're dealing with formal systems. So we have these systems where we need to write algorithms, we need to have data on which we work, and we need to formalize everything so that we can give it to these stupid machines, which they in general at least are. So because they just do what we tell them to do, and for that we need to be very specific. So we need to prepare the world. So we extract something from the world and feed that into the computer, and we do that in a very formal way, of course, like with using data, using programming languages, and so on and so forth. And of course, we expect everybody who has a bachelor degree that they know how to do that. And that's basically what you usually learn in a computer science program, of course. But you might also have studied something else, like maths, for example, or like electrical engineering. And then you might say, well, yes, I've learned some of those things as well, but it's not really related to computer science. And there we must step in and then check if we believe that there is enough knowledge in computer science. And I can only tell you that I'll just do a check here with some of my data. It's always good to have data available, of course, and I have some data here on our international applications, because we often get asked, can I have studied something else, like maths, for example, or electrical engineering or something like that, and I would like to study at Paderborn University in computer science. Can I do that? And the answer, the general answer I can only give is maybe, because we need to check those requirements, as I said, those prerequisites. That's what we will be checking. And right now I'm looking for numbers here on the programs where we accept people from. And I thought I had the statistics here. I don't, but I at least have the statistics of, like, for example, last winter semester, so the current semester that is now running. And there we had applications. The vast amount of applications came from a study program called Computer Science and Engineering. And there we accepted about half of the students for various reasons. Mostly it's because some documents were missing, interesting. So I'll come back to that in a moment as well. Then we have quite a number of students who have studied computer engineering or computer science. Those numbers are about the same. And This acceptance rates are somewhat similar. Then we have a couple of people who've studied information technology. Those students sometimes get accepted, but very often don't get accepted. So 1 out of 5 of those students has been accepted in the last winter semester. So you can see if you have studied information technology, it might not be that easy, because usually there are some things of those prerequisites that are listed on this slide will be missing in those programs. We check each case individually, so we don't just check, this person has studied this subject and that's why we can take them or we can't. We really check each and every application individually, and that's why it takes some time for us to process or to evaluate all those applications. Process sounds so automatically, and we don't do anything automatically here, but each and every application is evaluated individually. Then we have, for example, students who have studied in their bachelor program computer applications, and you might think that this is a good prerequisite for studying computer science or the computer science master. In fact, it turns out usually it's not. So we didn't accept a single one of those applications, and that is because certain things were missing in those programs. Again, your computer application program might have been different, and you might be the one who will be accepted, but in general, I can say that very often a computer applications master program is not sufficient, because those people most of the time don't meet the prerequisites that are listed on this slide. The same goes for programs like, for example, students who have studied electronics and communication engineering, with a couple of applications from that subject as well, yeah, that's basically it. And computer engineering I already talked about. Yeah, so that gives you some idea maybe. And if you've studied mathematics, for example, and we have a certain number of students coming from all different subjects, and once again, for different subjects, it's again very difficult to get into the computer science master program. Like, for example, if you studied mathematics or something like that, or business computing, for example, you usually are not eligible. As I said, you might be the exception, but most of the time we don't accept those applications. Because what quite often is lacking is exactly the second point on the slide on the left-hand side here. That's the formal methods to analyze algorithms, formal methods to check solutions, proving properties of algorithms. That's what we consider to be theoretical computer science. Again, I'll come back to that field a little later. And this is something that we really place strong emphasis on. We really want you to be able to apply those theoretical foundations of computer science. On the other hand, of course, computer science isn't just theoretical, but it's also a very practical business that we are conducting. So we need to write programs. We need to write software products, and that's why we also check if you have at least some experience in doing practical work. Experience doesn't mean business experience in the industry or something like that. It really means that there were practical aspects in the program that you studied. And like, for example, in a mathematics program that you studied, you might have all of those, might have good knowledge of all those that formal stuff, but probably you don't have much experience in the programming side. So object-oriented programming, for example, that you really are kind of fluent in at least one programming language, that you will be able to learn a new programming language for yourself in a very short amount of time. So usually we don't teach all of the programming languages that are required in our master program, but rather it might be that you have to learn a new programming language. You will be given time for that, of course, but we expect that a student of computer science has such a solid background in programming and programming languages that they will be able to learn a new programming language, not a completely new one, of course, not like, for example, learn Prolog within a week or something like that when you only have done object-oriented programming so far, or Haskell or something like that. There will be the right amount of time, of course, there, but we will expect that you can really learn a new programming language for yourself. For yourself means, of course, there's books available, there's video tutorials available, websites where there's good tutorials, and all the stuff. But you have to do that for yourself, maybe in certain courses at least. Because, as I said, on a master level, we expect people to do work by themselves, and that's another very important thing. That we expect people to be kind of self-driven. So we don't tell you what exactly to do next. It's not that we give you one task, and we give you the next task, and we give you the next task, and you give or assignment or whatever, and then we'll give you the next one. But instead, we expect that you learn things for yourself, and that you are motivated by yourself, and that you are able to learn things on your own. You're not left alone there. You can always come to the teaching assistants, for example, and to the lecturers and ask them. There will be help available, of course, but still we expect you, we would then, for example, tell you, well, okay, you don't know about this or that fact. There is a good article somewhere, there's a good book somewhere or something like that. And we would point you to that and then expect you to check that on that and try to work your way through that. And we won't explain everything in each and every detail to you. If there's certain things where there's problems, of course, you can come again to us, and then we can talk about those exact questions, but those should be specific questions. And it should not be like, I don't understand that at all, can you explain that to me? But you should rather come up with specific questions and say, well, this, okay, I've worked until here, and there's a point that which I don't understand. What exactly is he trying to do here? And then we can help you with those specific things, of course. What is very important is that on a master level, so again, I have some glitches in my computer here, so sometimes the image vanishes and then comes back again. Most of the time, at least, it comes back. So the next important thing here is that the master program is something which prepares you for scientific work. So, of course, you can go into a company and work there and do a programming job, but that's usually not what a master program is aimed at. Master program prepares you for doing research yourself, and that means that you can, for example, go on and make try. Oh, once again. And have try to do your PhD, for example. This is something you can do with the master once you have your master completed. Or you might go into a company, and there you might work in a research-related facility. And we have lots of opportunities around here. There's just 2 buildings from here. There's an institute where, for example, research-related jobs are. There's 1 building further on. There's a huge complex where there's lots of companies with their research facilities in that building, and we're cooperating closely with all of those groups or companies. And that's all research related. And that means that we need to prepare you for doing scientific work. And that means that you need to be, again, self-driven somewhat. You need to investigate scientific publications. You need to search for them in the first place. You need to be able to write scientific documents. And we'll teach you about that, of course. So that's why we have seminars, for example, and that's why we have a master's thesis. You need to give presentations. So you need to stand in front of an audience and tell them what's going on. And, of course, you need to give credit where credit is due. So if there is something which is not your own idea, then you need to state that. And you need to say that's an idea by this or that person. This has been published in that paper. This has been published there. And even a master's thesis, even a PhD thesis is not about inventing everything anew and like everything is your own idea. That's not scientific work. Usually a master's thesis and also a PhD thesis adds very little onto some existing body of scientific work. And that body of scientific work is something that you need to refer to, that you need to build upon. And you're standing on the shoulders of giants, but you have to say who those giants are, on whose shoulders you are standing here. So that's very important. If this is somewhat abstract, and that's very normal because it was abstract. And to make that a little more concrete, there is this link. Again, the link is also in the video description below here, below this video. And there you can check for certain of our courses what they expect you to know before you start those courses. So it's not about finding out what you should know after you've taken the course, but it's self-assessment, so that you know if you would be able to take part in that course. So check those self-assessments that we have there, and then you'll have an idea which course is something that might be suited for you, or where you might have some deficits. And then you can decide for yourself. We don't see the results. You decide for yourself what you do with the result, and then you maybe say, well, okay, I see that I lack some of the knowledge that is expected there, but I think I'm able to learn that by myself. And then you prepare yourself for the course, and then you take part in the course and pass it or whatever. So that's always a good idea to do that. Check those self-assessments. So I said on quite an abstract level what we mean when we say solid background in computer science. And this is now a little more precise. And that means that we check, when you apply, that we check if in your bachelor program there is at least 20 credits in software engineering. So we check the number of credits should be given on the transcript. If your transcript doesn't have credits, that's a problem, and then you should find some document that shows those credits, and you should attach that document to your application documents. So we need to know which course that you took had how many credits attached to it. So we will then check if you have at least 20 credits in software engineering. What counts towards software engineering? Well, courses like software engineering, of course, for example, but also courses like databases, or like a course in programming languages, for example, where you learn about different programming languages. Those are courses that count towards software engineering. So basically the software side of computer science. Not the basic programming courses. Basic programming courses are exempt from these 20 credits. It's really the courses building on top of the, so we expect everybody by the end of the bachelor at least to know how to program. So that's a given, and those credits for programming courses are not considered as software engineering here. Then the next one, and that is usually and those software engineering credits, for example, usually people are usually lacking if they, for example, have studied electrical engineering or electrical and electronics engineering, or if they have studied mathematics, or if they've studied physics or something like that. So that's usually where people, of the students of those bachelor programs, are usually not fitting, not matching our requirements, which is why with such a degree you are usually not accepted into our master program. The second then is, again, 20 credits at least, that's the minimum, as I said, in theoretical computer science. So that's always a kind of a misunderstanding. What is theoretical computer science? For example, courses like data structures and algorithms is something which is in many of the bachelor programs out there all around the world. Programs like algorithm analysis, for example, would count towards that. Complexity theory. I have a number of topics here because the course names aren't often telling you too much. So this is basically the contents that courses need to be concentrated on. So to count towards those 20 credits, it can't just be that there is a course with like 2 weeks where Turing machines were talked about, but and the rest of the topics wasn't talked about at all, or something like that. Then not the whole course, not the complete course, would be counted toward those 20 credits, of course, because that's way too little. And so a course which deals with a considerable amount of these topics that are listed here, that would be a course which we would count towards theoretical computer science. So you should know about Turing machines. You should know what decidability is and undecidability in particular. You should know how to prove that something is that there are undecidable problems. You should know what a diagonalization proof is. You should know what a reduction is. So in order to reduce a problem to an undecidable problem, so that you can prove that the new problem is undecidable as well. That's what reductions do in this context of decidability or undecidability. You should, of course, know about non-determinism. So non-deterministic finite automata, for example, non-deterministic Turing machines. Those are concepts that you should be familiar with. You should, of course, know about NP completeness. You should know certain NP complete problems. Not all of them, of course, but you should know about certain problems that they are NP complete, and you should be able to show that they are NP complete. So you should be able to do reductions, again, in this time NP reductions, which means that you should be able to prove that, for example, the graph three-col, so the problem of coloring a graph with a planar graph, or in general a graph with three colors, that problem can be reduced to the problem of the satisfiability problem. That would be, for example, something you should be able to prove. You should also be able to prove that the problem of, usually you take the SAT problem there, so the satisfiability problem, and you should be able to prove that the satisfiability problem is in fact NP complete, which means that it can be solved by a non-deterministic Turing machine in polynomial time. And you should be able to prove that, and that it is not just in NP, but also that it is NP complete. So, yeah, you get the idea, I think. So this is something you should know about NP completeness. Then you should be aware of approximation algorithms, because, as you know, NP complete problems are problems that are hard to solve, which is why quite often we don't try to find a perfect solution, so really a solution for the problem, but we're trying to find an approximate solution. So we might, for example, for the knapsack problem, not find a perfect fit for the knapsack, but an almost perfect fit, like about which we can probably prove that it is only 5% away from a perfect solution, for example. So this is something what we do with approximation algorithms, and you should know about those, and you should know about certain of those standard problems of NP completeness and approximation algorithms, which is, for example, knapsack, the coloring problem of graphs, the vertex cover problem, traveling salesperson problems, and things like that. And you should finally also have certain knowledge about randomized algorithms, like, for example, randomized quicksort, randomized rounding. And you should be able to show why those algorithms, what the performance of those algorithms is, why those algorithms can solve the sorting problem, for example, in the case of the randomized quicksort, in a certain amount of time, in expected time, so expected worst case time. This is something that you should be able to prove for those algorithmic problems. So these are topics that a course on the theoretical computer science should have dealt with. So that brings us to the next area, and that is technical informatics. In technical informatics, what we usually count towards that is, like, for example, everything is like that has to do with circuitry, digital circuits, with computer architecture, with networks, but also with operating systems. So the basic levels of computer science, of computer systems. So, of course, an operating system is software, but we wouldn't count that towards software engineering, but rather to the technical side of it, because it's kind of like the lowest layer in a computer system. And so we count those layers close to the machine, like machine language programming, like operating systems, and like networking, as I said. Those would be areas of technical informatics. Often people who have studied something like, for example, electrical and communication engineering have had courses in that field, which is good, of course, but they are often lacking the software engineering part, and they are often lacking the theoretical computer science part. And on the other hand, students of mathematics, for example, they often, sometimes at least, bring along the theoretical computer science part, but they don't bring along this technical computer science part. So, yeah, as I said, that's the problem why often people who have studied have done a bachelor in one of those subjects are not accepted into our master program here. And last but not least, you should at least have 15 credits in basic mathematics of computer science, which is linear algebra for computer scientists, calculus for computer scientists, and also some amount of statistics should be there as well. Usually that's not the problem. Usually most, at least students from computer science and engineering and computer science and engineering programs, from computer engineering programs and from computer science programs, they usually bring along those those basic mathematics of computer science. They usually also bring along enough technical informatics or technical computer science. They most of the time bring along enough in the software engineering area, but the theoretical computer science, that's usually the crucial point. This is why most of the where most of the applications that are not accepted are not accepted because of this, because of lacking prerequisites in theoretical computer science. So before you apply here at our university, check out those prerequisites and just make a judgment for yourself. So take your transcript and see which of the courses are dealing with topics like these, for example. And then you can mark them for yourself, and then you can count the credits that you have. And as I said, it shouldn't be just that there was just one lecture on one of those topics and the rest was something completely different, but the lecture should have concentrated on aspects of like that. And as I said, usually if you have a course data structures and algorithm in your bachelor program, and if you have a course like algorithm analysis in your bachelor program, those two will be counted. So those are on the safe side, so to speak. And then you'll need to check what other courses are there in your bachelor program that might be considered as theoretical computer science. And if you find that this is too little, then you should consider twice applying to our university. We can't, unfortunately, give you any pre-checks of your documents. We would like to do that so that you can maybe just simply not apply in case you wouldn't meet our requirements anyways, but we simply have too many applications, so we just can't do it. We can't manage all of those applications, all of those not really applications. We do manage the applications, but if all people would send us their documents for pre-evaluation, then we would be overwhelmed by application or by such evaluation requests, and so we can't do that, unfortunately. But you can check that for yourself, as I said. And once just in case you discover, if you believe there is enough theoretical computer science, you're good to go. Then you send us your application, as I said, to UniAssist and everything. And if you think, well, I think I don't match those requirements, then not all is lost, because what I'm telling you here with those specific requirements is what we here at Paderborn University are expecting. And other universities have different expectations. So you might check other universities, and you might find that some university has different requirements, and they maybe don't expect you to have as much theoretical computer science as we do. Like, for example, you could check the Technical University of Berlin, and then you'll find that their requirements are pretty similar to ours. So that doesn't help very much. You might check the Technical University of Dortmund, for example, and you might find this exact same thing. And you might try Technical University of Munich, for example, and you might again find the same thing. But there are also other universities out there that have different requirements. But I can't tell you about all of them, so you need to check for yourself. So go to their websites and check what their requirements are. One general idea that I can give you at least is, if you have a bachelor program that you think you meet the requirements in software engineering, technical informatics, and basic mathematics of computer science, but don't meet the requirements in theoretical computer science, it might be a good idea to take a look at a at a University of Applied Sciences, because this is something that many students from other countries don't know, which I perfectly understand, because it's a very complicated system. Because we have kind of two-tiered university system in Germany. We have the universities, and those universities are what is usually called a university, like Paderborn University or University of I don't know, University of the Saarland, for example. This is one, University of Münster, University of Bonn, for example, or Bonn University, Münster University, I should rather say. Those are is one kind of university, and this, among those universities are also other universities that have more complicated names, like, for example, Technical University. We have a Technical University in Dortmund, Technical University in Berlin, for example, and they are also those kinds of universities. And there might be other universities which have other additional names. But there's one specific name that you should look out for in that case, and that is University of Applied Sciences. University of Applied Sciences. Because as the name suggests, those are special universities and they are more application oriented. And more application oriented usually, not always, but usually means they have less strict requirements on theoretical aspects. So if you are meeting most of those requirements over there, but just not the theoretical computer science, I would recommend take a look at the universities of applied sciences. You might also take a look at other universities, but in particular take a look at universities of applied sciences because they might not have that strict requirement in theoretical computer science. And even if we would reject your application, they might accept your application. Again, there's no guarantee because they might have completely different prerequisites that they will check for, but this is something that I would recommend to you. So if you apply to us and we reject your application, not all is lost, but there might be alternatives, and I would anyways strongly recommend that you not just apply to one university, be it ours or any university, any other university in Germany. So if you apply at via UniAssist, apply at more than one university, and maybe also consider applying at one or more universities of applied sciences. So this would be my recommendation when you're thinking about coming to Germany to study computer science here. So that's basically, that's the most important things I wanted to talk about. There's one more thing I would like to add, and because that also generates a lot of confusion usually, but I'll have a drink before that. And that confusion is usually the grading system, because in most countries, a higher number means a better grade. So you might be in a country where your final bachelor degree is on a scale of 0 to 4, or you might be at a university, or your university might have a scale from 0 to 10. Or it might be a scale from 0 to 1,850 or something like that. So there's lots of different scales. And people often ask, I have a grade of 3.41 out of 4, is that good enough? And the only answer we can give there is maybe, because we simply can't tell on that basis. Because there's one more important factor, and that is the question, what is the minimum grade required for passing? Because a university might, for example, have, as I said, grades from 0 to 4. And at your university, the minimum grade for passing might be 2.0. But it might also be 2.5 or 2.2 or 1.75 or something like that. We've seen all of those. So basically, we can't tell just from the grade you have. So 3.41 out of 4 doesn't say anything at all for us. Well, it does say a little bit, but it doesn't say enough, at least. The same goes for scales from 0 to 10, for example. It might be that you need 5 out of 10 to pass. It might be that you need 6 out of 10 to pass. Or it might be that you need 4 out of 10 to pass. Again, we can't tell what your grade really is if you have 8.5 out of 10. But there is help for that. And that help is a tool, which is also mentioned in the links below this video, in the description below this video. And, excuse me, the long dragon is up there, the long name. Excuse me, just a second. But as I said, you don't need to type that long thing there. There's a link down there. And as you can see here, what you need to enter is the maximum grade at your university, like, for example, 4 or 10. then the minimum passing grade at your university, which might be 2 or 2.2 or 5 or 6 or whatever. And then in the third field, you enter your current overall grade. So like, for example, you had a 3 out of 4 and 2 was the minimum grade, for example, then you would have, in the German system, you would have a 2.5. Or, for example, you have 2.94 and 2.2 was the minimum passing grade, then that would calculate to a 2.7. And this is something which is very strange in German, in the German system, because in our system, as you can read up there, is that 1 is the best grade. So we have a scale from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, sometimes 1 to 6, most of the time it's 1 to 5. And you need a 4 to pass, and a 1 is the best grade. So it's just the other way around. So this means of the 3 grades you can see down there, 2.5, 2.767, and 2.398. The one on the right, 2.398, would be the best of those 3 grades. So that's important to keep in mind. The lower the grade, the better it is. 1 is the best grade. So what do you need? Why is this important? Well, the first thing is your grade needs to be a value below, once converted to German, to the German system, your grade needs to be below 3.0. So all of those 3 people, fictitious people here in this table, all of those 3 people would meet that requirement. So this is an absolutely hard requirement. So if your grade is 3.0, exactly 3.0, or 3.01, or 3.005, or 3.00005, you're out. We simply can't accept you. That's really a strict rule. There's no way around that, and we don't have any authority to decide anything differently. So 3.0 or even a little bit above that, and we can't accept you into our program. That's the one important thing to keep in mind. If, on the other hand, that's one important caveat here, if you have a bachelor degree, which is just 3.0 or worse than that, so let's, for example, say 3.2, but you have also a master degree already in a related subject, again, it must be computer science related subject, and that grade is better than 3.0, then you're back in the game. So this is something worth considering. I don't know if you really want to do another master's degree, but we have people sometimes coming to us who already have a bachelor and a master in something. It's not exactly computer science, but it's close enough to computer science so that we can count that as well. And so we take that into consideration, and a good master degree might then make up for the bad bachelor degree, for the not so good bachelor degree, I should say. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, the master degree must have some relation to computer science. So if you do a bachelor in computer science, for example, and have 3.2 converted to the German grading system, and then you do a master program in psychology, for example, and you have the best grade ever, 1.0, then that doesn't help you very much. So it must be a computer science related subject that you have been studying in your master in order to be counted as in this respect here. There's one more thing about the GRE, and that about this grade that I mentioned here, the GPA. I mean, of course, the GPA and GRE, lots of names. So, and that is that. Depending on your grade, you will be required to send a GRE. This regulation was made more strict right now. So if you applied in the past, then there would be a different value here. But the current regulation is this, that again, you convert your grade with the system I just mentioned, so with the tool I mentioned on the last slide. And if you find that the value that you come out with is 1.5 or higher, so in this case all the 3 of these people have a grade of 1.5 or higher, so that means that all of those applications, they would be they are not automatically accepted because the other requirements also must be met, of course, as I already mentioned, but they're not out just because of their GPA. But then there is a second requirement, and that is if the number that you have, like in those 3 cases, as I said, is 1.5 or higher, then you need to submit a GRE, Revised General Test. That is very important. If you don't send that test, you're immediately kicked out of the application process. So no matter what, if you might have the most interesting transcript of all students, of all applications that we have ever seen, but if the grade is 1.5 or higher, so 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 2.3, whatever it is, then you need to have this GRE document attached to your applications. So that's very important. If that document is missing, then you're immediately out. That's very important. So you can immediately retract your application if you don't send that GRE test along with you. And astonishingly, we have plenty of people who apply and have a grade which requires a GRE, but they don't send the GRE. So it's around at least 20% of the applications that we receive, which are, even, I think it's even more than 20%, who are rejected just because they did not, would have been required to send a GRE, but did not send it. And we don't take a look into any further documents at that point, because this is a strict requirement and there's no way around that. So, as I said, you might have the most interesting transcript of all applications. It doesn't help you. You're out in that case. So just keep that in mind and send the GRE test along with you. Do yourself a favor and send that. What is also very important is that at our university, other universities require this GRE test as well under maybe different circumstances than we do, but you should check with their websites, of course, then, if you consider applying at another university. And again, our required scores, what we are looking at is just 2 of the scores in the GRE test. The GRE test tests 3 different scores, gives 3 different point scores to you. And we only take a look at 2 of those, and the one is the one in quantitative reasoning, where you need at least 157 points. That is something that most of people of our applications manage to do. And the second is analytical writing, and there you need to score at least 4.0 points. And this is something where many people struggle or even fail to do that. So we also have a lot of GRE tests sent to us which meet the quantitative reasoning score, but which don't meet the analytical writing score. And again, in that case, your application will not be considered any further. So this, again, is a strict requirement, so you really have to make sure that your scores are high enough. And if they're not high enough, as I said, your application will be rejected from us here. Again, that doesn't mean that you will be rejected everywhere. Other universities have different rules, and they might still accept you. So it makes perfect sense, even if you have a GRE test that does not meet all of those requirements, then it might still be worth applying, but not for our program, but maybe at another program at another university or something like that. One more thing, I see there is a question. I'll come back to that question in a moment. I'll just want to say two more things, I think. One thing is, what is also important is that depending on the country where you are from, you need to send a document stating that you are proficient in the English language. That depends on the country where you are from. If English is the official language in your country, like, for example, if you are from Nigeria, up to now it was different, but this is new from this October onwards. If you are, for example, from Nigeria and where all the education is done in English, and it must be stated also on your transcript that the medium of instruction was English, then everything is fine, because English is an official language. It is the language in Nigeria, for example, in which all education takes place, even in the schools. So you're perfectly good to go. You don't need any further documents, not anymore. But if you're from a country where English is not the official language, like, for example, from Pakistan, then you need to send a proficiency certificate. And that might be one of those listed here. Usually we only accept TOEFL, paper-based or internet-based, a Cambridge test, CAE, Certificate of Advanced English, or the British Council IELTS. Most of the people send us the IELTS I don't know exactly the reasons for that. Maybe it's the cheapest one or the easiest to get an appointment for doing it, or whatever the reasons might be. So we accept all of those 4, again with minimum scores as listed on this slide. And for the time being, we also accept Duolingo. That this will probably, this phase right now until the 30th of November will probably the last time when we accept Duolingo, because that's just because the pandemic is still active in many parts of the world. Well, basically everywhere around the world, because it's a pandemic, but it's more active in certain areas of the world, and so that makes it sometimes difficult to get an appointment to take one of those other tests, and the Duolingo is an online test, so you can take that test also, and we also accept Duolingo with at least 105 points, at least, as I said, as long as at least until 30th of November, and after that things might change. I can't tell you exactly if they will, but for the time being, the extension, we have extended that a couple of times now, and the current extension is only valid until 30th of November. So if you apply for after that, so if you apply for any phase, basically this means if you apply for the next summer semester, then you can hand in Duolingo, and if you apply only for the next winter semester, then you will probably not be able to send a Duolingo test. Oh, well, you can send it, but it won't be considered. But as I said, that's just for the time being. Things might change, but just keep that in mind, and to be on the safe side, take one of the other tests I would recommend. Again, those numbers listed there are hard requirements. So if you have IELTS minimum band 6.0, for example, then we won't accept you again. So 6.5 is really a hard limit which needs to be passed. Okay. Well, there's certain other documents. I won't talk about those documents. You won't talk about all of the documents in detail right now. Again, what I started with, I want to end this block with before I come to the question finally that has been asked in the chat, in the live chat. And that's the important thing here. When you apply, you need to apply via UniAssist. You need to send all of your documents to them and only to them. You don't send any documents to us. There is this link, myuniassist.de/online. Again, the link is below this video in the description as well. There you check under application, then universities, in brackets master, North Rhine-Westphalia, which is the state, the federal state which we are in here at Paderborn, and then you'll pick Paderborn University. There you need to make sure that you choose computer science and not informatic. Informatic is the German word for computer science, and if you choose informatic, then you will be prompted to send your German language certificates, because you can only study the informatic if you send German, if you are proficient in the German language, which I assume you are not. And which is why I would recommend applying for computer science, because there no German language knowledge is required at all. So you can study computer science here without any knowledge of German. You should learn some German when you're here, but that's for another day. So we don't need to talk about that right now. Again, application deadline, as I said, for the summer semester is starting in April. Applications deadline is 30th of November. And as I said, certain documents may be handed in later, but don't ask me, ask UniAssist. They can tell you until when they need which documents. We will then take your application, once they have processed the applications, so done all the preparatory work, they will make available to us all the documents that we need. Then we do the evaluation, and once we have done the evaluation, you will be notified. So there's no need to come to us to ask. We'll do it as soon as we can. I know that all of you would like to have the evaluation results rather sooner than later, and we'll do our best to do as many of them as soon as possible. But we also haven't received all the applications yet, so there will be lots of applications coming. So expect that all applications that have reached us until now will be evaluated sometime during this month and the first half of the next month. So by around 15th of December, I would say that all applications that have already been forwarded to us, Unisys tells you when they have forwarded your documents to us. All documents that have reached, all applications that have reached us until now should be should be evaluated until 15th of December. All of those applications that come from now on will take some more time. And will most probably take some time into January. So just bear with us. It takes a lot of time to evaluate and appreciate all your applications in full. So this is something I need to ask for patience. Unfortunately, I know that you are keen on receiving your application results as soon as possible, of course. So we have a question here. So hello, first of all, late hello, because your question has already been standing here for a while, but I was trying to finish what I was talking about. So you're already done with all your subjects. That's great. You can still go for the question is if you can still go for a semester abroad, considering we need to create a learning agreement. Is a thesis possible in a semester abroad? Yes, for the first part, and difficult for the second part, I would say, but possible. Difficult, but possible. So you can go for a semester abroad, but keep in mind that organizing a semester abroad usually takes a lot of time. So if you want to take part in one of the exchange programs of our university, right now the applications are still running, I think, until 4th of December, something like that. But that is if you want to apply for a semester abroad for the next winter semester, so 1 year in advance, basically. And I don't know if you want to stay that long with us if you have already completed all of your subjects. So maybe if you have some other way of going to another university for a semester abroad and organize everything in a different way, that's perfectly possible as well. Usually the part of creating a learning agreement is usually something which should be possible quite quickly. In particular, you applied in the last semester and have already been accepted. That's perfect, of course. Then everything's great. So I'll retract my former comments and everything is different. Yeah, so for a learning agreement, you need to get to contact Professor Sevak Garibian, Professor Garibian, and he is doing all the learning agreement stuff with you. On the other hand, I would recommend doing that. So I would recommend contacting him and talking to him about a learning agreement. So you probably already know which university you wish to go to, and maybe already have a course program, what will be available, what kind of courses will be available there. And it would be a good idea if you go to Professor Garibian to go there with an idea of which courses you would like to take at the university abroad, and maybe already with an idea which courses those might slot into. You don't need exact slots and exact courses, but it would be enough if you just have the focus areas. You know about the focus areas, so I don't need to tell you about those, I guess. So if, for example, you have a course in, I don't know, strange kinds of cryptography or something like that at the other university, and then in that case you could simply, if it's something like, as in strange kinds of strange things about cryptography or something is the name of the course at the other university. I see Politecnico Milano, you write, is the university you are planning to go to. And then you wouldn't probably say, well, that might fit into either algorithm design or into even better probably into IT security. And then you would go with those ideas to Professor Garibian and tell him, well, I would like to take this course, and I think it might fit into that focus area or into that focus area. What would you suggest? And then you can talk to him, and you can discuss all of that. And yes, I guess I can spell his name. I hope this is correct. But there's an even simpler way. Just a second. Just a second. I'm just silent here because I need to concentrate. Yeah. All right. So. As I said, I need to concentrate. So this is the link to his website. So you should be able to find him there, or with all his contact information. And yeah, as I said, it would be a good idea to really go to him. Of course, you can send him an email to make an appointment with him, but then really meet with him and discuss these things with him. So I would suggest going to the website of the Politecnico Milano, check what their course program will be, if there's also already information available for the next summer semester. Otherwise, just check their module handbook. They will have something like that as well at that university. And then you should be able to find some courses that you might want to take, and then discuss those things with him. On the other hand, the learning agreement isn't really that important for you, I guess, because, as you said, you already have completed all of the subjects that you need. So that means you have your 8 modules together. You have your seminars, you have your project group. So basically, you don't need anything. So even if you take some courses just for fun, it would be fine as well, because then you can simply come back and you don't need any more grades on your transcript. Of course, it would be nice if those courses that you took in Milano then are also on your transcript here in Paderborn, because they have been recognized here. But even if they aren't, you still have the document from Milano, so you could still, and once you have completed your master and then you apply for a job somewhere, of course you will send all of your documents to your potential employer, and you will tell them, this is my transcript from Paderborn University, this is my transcript from Politecnico Milano, and then they will see that you have done a semester abroad. They will see which courses you took there and everything. So it's perfectly fine if you don't have those things listed on your transcript here from Paderborn as well. But I can perfectly understand that you would like to have that, and of course that is possible. So we would put those together with a learning agreement, of course, that would be possible, and then you have those courses listed here as well. But as I said, it's not really necessary, so in that case you can just enjoy your time in Politecnico Milano, take some interesting courses, and regardless of whether they will be accepted or not. Accepted they are, but if they will be recognized here for your program here. But of course, if they are, then you might have more choices here for picking your master's thesis or something like that. So anyway, it's a good idea. Nice to see someone take a semester abroad, and when you come back, it would be nice to if you tell us about it, because we sometimes get questions if people, international students who come here, if it is recommended to go on a semester abroad. And I'm also always a little hesitant, because I think it's always difficult, because you are already studying in a foreign country, so you are already abroad, and then add another abroad experience on top of an abroad experience. And I'm sometimes a little skeptical if that is not a little bit too much, or if you get overwhelmed by doing programs in 2 different countries. Once again, it's again a different kind of system, different kind of society you get into. So it would be interesting to hear from you, your experience when you return. So make sure to contact us and tell us about your experience, if you liked it, and also if you didn't like it, or what didn't go smoothly. For example, it would also be always be good if we get feedback about those things, because this is always something that we can use to help future students. And if in a year from now someone else comes and asks me the same question, I can tell them, well, yes, I know that's a good idea because we know someone who's already done it and who has been absolutely happy with it. So at least we hope that this will happen. So yeah, definitely would be great if you do that. And whatever you decide to do, I wish you all a good time in Politecnico Milano. It will certainly be an interesting experience, and yeah, so hope to hear from you sometime soon. All right, I guess that should end the stream for tonight. We've already talked for almost close to 1.5 hours now. It's quite a bit of a time, so I guess yeah, this is everything I had prepared for tonight. So hopefully there was some interesting information for at least someone out there. I don't know how many people watch this tonight, but maybe someone watches it after the fact or whatever. As I said, once again, this is Study Service Computer Science. So we do this every third Thursday in the month for our master program in English language. So the next one will then be on, I'll just check the date out. It will be on the 15th of December. That's when we have, oh, there's one more person coming in there. Someone saying, hello, sir. Hello, back to you. I was just about to wrap up and there's another question coming in. So we'll wait what the question might be. So, if there's another question, if someone just wants to say hello, I'll say hello back. That's good as well. So, but we'll just wait for a second if there is some question coming, or if there's no question coming, and if you were just if you just wanted to say hello, then yeah, just tell us that as well, because then I won't be waiting for much longer for any further questions. But so for a moment we will wait if there's something happening. So apart from that, I'll do the final the closing moderation, so to speak. As I said, every third Thursday in the month. Next time on the 15th of December, we will have we're having these live streams here for the master program, always in English language. If you are not interested in our master program, but rather in our bachelor program, then, and that's in German, then our live stream for that is always on the first Thursday of each month, so the next one on the 1st of December, and that will then be, as I said, in German. It's always 6 p.m. in the afternoon, and that is Central European time right now. Depending on the time zone where you are right now, you need to convert that, of course. All right, so there is a question I want to ask about the rule for the exam attempt. I have registered for the exam in the summer semester 2022. Will the attempt of this exam be counted? It will be counted if you pass the exam, of course, but if you didn't pass the exam, it will not be counted. So all exams for the summer semester 2022 were under this special COVID regulation, and that means they will not be counted. Excuse me. They will not be counted if you failed them. Again, one more exception. If you failed because you cheated in the exam, it will still be counted. So if someone cheats, it will be counted. If you passed, it will be counted. If you failed and didn't cheat, it will not be counted. That's the simple rule. And from this winter semester on, everything counts in large amounts. So everything is back to normal. So from now on, any exams you're taking now for this semester, from this semester onwards, they will be counted as normal exams. At least that's the current state of things. If the pandemic comes back raging again, and we need to revert to distant teaching again or something like that, things might change, but I wouldn't bet on that, and I really don't hope that that this is required. So I really hope we are back to as close as normal as can be. Whatever exactly normal might be then, the new normal, back to the new normal in that case. So I hope that answers that question. All right, so I'd like to call it a day for today, and as I said, the next dates will be upcoming. There's lots of links below this video, so check those links out for specific questions that you have. The first link leads you to my website, so the website of the study service, and there you can always ask your question. You'll find contact information as well, so you can contact me. The easiest way is usually by email. Email address is given on that website also, so just contact me there if there's any questions. And if you are already here, of course, we can also make a personal, an in-person meeting in my office, and then we can make an appointment. You can always come without making an appointment to my office hours, which is Thursdays from 10 to 11 in the mornings. And if you are somewhere else in the world and would like to have a video call, for example, meeting by some kind of video conferencing tool, we can also arrange that, and we should arrange that. Again, we should arrange that via email to find an appointment there. Okay, so that's it for tonight, and I wish you a great evening or day or night, whatever the time may be where you are around. For me, it's nighttime starts basically. It's 7:30 here, so still a couple of hours to go for tonight. But yeah, I think it's time for having my final sips of beer here and then leave my office and go home. And that's it for tonight. See you sometime soon. Stay well, stay safe, and yeah, as I said, see you sometime soon. Bye-bye.